Hello, 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 and welcome to Wrong About Everything. I am your host, Ethan, and today I'm going to be talking about Final Fantasy XV episode Duscae, which I think is the pronunciation. Today, I'm going to go off script, both because this is a brand new demo and I want to have some genuine reactions to it, and because I want to show off a bit of a different side of my personality that's not just memorizing lines. What do I say next? So I'm recording this video the day after the demo came out, which was yesterday, which was Tuesday, and I put in about 5.5 hours into it, and I beat it one time. To give you a bit of context, my favorite Final Fantasies are 9, 12, 7, 6, not in that order, and I don't know which ones I would say are the best ones, because I haven't replayed them in a while, so I don't want to mix those two things up. I want to, switch that, hold on. There we go. Stay. Stay. Girlfriend made that for me. I'm going to start with what I think was my very first thoughts, which was, oh, this doesn't look as good or run as well as I expected it to. But, you know, it's early code, so whatever. That's probably going to be shaped up. Shaped up? Shipped up? Shaped up. I'm very curious to see where this combat develops, because it's action combat now, kind of. It's been compared to Kingdom Hearts, but I don't really see it that way, to be honest. It feels more like a flow of battle type of thing. You're not mashing the button anymore to hit. Now you're just holding it down to say, this is what I'm doing now. And as you observe the battlefield, you'll need to switch to defending, you'll need to warp somewhere else, you need to adjust certain techniques, you'll need to place yourself in a more strategic part on the map to approach the enemies, depending on how many you're fighting, and which type you're fighting. So I enjoy that they're shifting the way you're thinking about approaching an action battle system. I was talking to a friend earlier today, and he said that the system made it feel like he had no control over the main character. And I think that that could be a possibility with what is there, but I think with this small chunk, we can't say. You need to see how it's going to play out against the different types of enemies, how it's going to play out with the arc of the system, how it's going to play out with the arc of the environments. One thing I will say, though, is that I was learning how to play the game better by the end, which is a good sign overall, I think. I really like that I could judge the enemies before I engaged with them, at least during the daytime. If I saw a guy that I hadn't really fought before and looked really big and intimidating, I could stay away for a time, or I could jump in and test it out. I also like that what looked like an easy battle at nighttime all of a sudden turned into this giant kerfuffle? This giant... This is why I usually write scripts. But I digress. One thing that I really did enjoy about the demo was the fact that it feels Japanese again. One thing that's been so frustrating about Square Enix is that they've been trying to appeal to a Western audience. What the Western audience likes about Japanese RPGs was the fact that they were Japanese RPGs. So trying to make it all like Gears of War is horrible to us who like these games. So yeah, some of the dialogue and mannerisms and the character designs you'll roll your eyes at, but I don't care so much. I want a different voice in our AAA video games. I also like that even though a lot of stuff seemed really indulgent, it wasn't crazy, super dramatic like Final Fantasy Thirteen. I was gonna say Thirteen. Because it's thirsty for being good. Which it's not. Except for the battle system, which is great. Anyway, I digress again. The point is that I like that there was actually a sense of humor, even if it wasn't necessarily always funny, but you could tell that they were trying to be silly and playful sometimes. It's a breath of fresh air when it comes to a Final Fantasy game. Final Fantasy 9 and 6 and 12 sometimes, they're funny. You get to actually like the characters. Just talking about how dramatic your life is doesn't make me like you as a character. It just makes me hate the writers of your game. Anyway, we don't have a real sense of these characters yet, but I do kind of like the fact that we get a sense of the progression, that if this goes well, that there could be that classic JRPG sense of both the minute and the long form. Meaning that you do need strategy for individual battles. You need to set up how you're going to use your weapons, you need to look at your MP and use your techniques in a very efficient way in the right situations. But eventually these battles, especially during the daytime, will probably just become a natural way of how you interact with the world. It won't become the same sort of challenge in the same way necessarily. But then that becomes part of a larger progression, ideally. That's the wonderful thing about JRPGs. They're telling a story through gameplay on a different scale. That's why you can't judge them necessarily by the dialogue, or anything else that people tend to judge JRPGs by. There's a different sort of storytelling in place by way of systems. That's what's fascinating as games as a storytelling medium. They're changing the way we think about how stories are told, at least for me. Anyway, even though I can project a game in which the systems that exist in the demo would be able to fit into a larger gameplay narrative, it doesn't mean that that is necessarily going to be the case. And also, I kind of have a feeling that it's going to be a very long, drawn-out opening. Not as bad as Final Fantasy XIII's 30-hour tutorial, but, you know, I feel like there's going to be... But that's a projection as well. I love that the caves were kind of like Dragon Age Inquisition, one of the things that that game did do well. The fact that you couldn't see that far ahead of you, and that caves really felt like caves. You had to kind of have a mental map in your mind, and you were scared of what was coming next. And the fact that it hinted at the cave rewards being so powerful, I think that's going to be a strong element of the game. If that projection, whatever. You know, these are just reactions. Anyway, video games and JRPGs in particular work on such a grand scale that I think it is pretty ridiculous to think that I have any sense of what that game is right now. I have strong opinions about the demo and the way I feel about it and the way I think it might turn out, but you don't know with a game. You don't know. I mean, I feel like I know now. Whatever. The point is that Final Fantasy is a series that a lot of people grew up with and means a lot to us. People like me know what the series can be, and therefore we have hopes of what it will be. I think there's going to be a lot to chew on, because already, just with that demo, there's a lot to chew on. I feel like I've said nothing. Oh. Hello, Myra. This is Myra. It's your first appearance. Huh? Say hello to the camera. Mimu. Anyway, I guess that means that I should wrap this up. Thank you for listening to my very early, unscripted thoughts. I hope they made sense. I'm not going to know until I put this together, so you already know. You've seen it before I have. I think this means we need to stop now, hey, Mimu? Is that what you're telling me? I still need to go shopping. Anyway, thanks for joining, and please, Final Fantasy is a hot topic. Tell me what I'm wrong about. Tell me your thoughts. I want to get everybody's reaction to this demo. I had a great time with it, but that means nothing to me. I don't know. Okay, from me and Mimu. Can you see her? Yeah? I don't usually do this, do I? Goodbye!